smearing my shit on the walls and like just yelling and screaming, and I was covered in blood, and I was like, yeah, I made this. You would be like, of course you did. That's insane. And like, look at this insane person who made this insane thing.
In this video, we're hanging out with Anthony Rondinone, a New York-based artist who blends raw emotions with bold, expressive forms. We'll be talking about his story, his process, and watching him create something completely original right in front of us. So let's get into it.
When I first started painting, I was like, I'm just gonna do something towards painting every single day, and I only need to do a half an hour. And like, that sounds like nothing, but for a half an hour, I might stretch one canvas, and then I'm just like, well, I'm already in my painting clothes, so I might as well just start painting. And then eventually that turns into like, you find an hour a day or you find 2 hours a day, and that just snowballs. And it doesn't have to be painting, it could be whatever you want to do. I need 50. I wasn't really looking to have shows or be a painter. I was a musician before that. And when touring ended or just like drastically slowed down, I started painting. A guy that I used to tour with, who I was very close with, he suddenly died fairly young. And I just had this urge to like paint his portrait, but like in a way that just felt like him. It didn't need to look exactly like him, but I just wanted to feel him. I just needed my own creative outlet, and I didn't have the energy to try to start a new band or like a new project with other people. So I just kept painting, and I really was just doing it for myself. And then people reached out to me randomly and they wanted to buy stuff, and then I was like, oh, this is kind of cool, and it just like snowballed. So yeah, I think that was in 22. You have to stretch the material even. It's almost like tuning a drum or something, or like reupholstering a couch. By the time I'm ready to actually paint, I just have this connection with what I'm painting on. So that is the first step of prepping the canvas. So I've had this for like years, and yesterday when I was working, I was just pressing, and after a while these things get a little brittle, so it just snapped. Yeah, now I need a new one. But the good thing is that I use these, because sometimes I just get in this mood when I'm painting. Something about like scratching the canvas with this, like with the paint and the way that it moves, it's just so much different than using like a paintbrush or a full knife. So I do keep these broken handles, and I'll end up like doing something with it, so.
Do you think you can be priced out of New York?
If I can be?
Yeah. Would you stay in New York if it gets super expensive? Even more expensive than it is right now?
It's already expensive. I don't know, it's hard to tell. Part of me is just like so used to it, because this is how life has just always been. But yeah, I'm sure I can get priced out. I'm already kind of getting over New York, I hate to say that.
Where would you go?
I don't know, that's the hard thing. I don't know what other city I would go to, because I would always be comparing it to New York. There was a time where I was staying in Italy for like a month and a half at a time, and that was awesome. But then I tried to do like real stuff, and it was so hard, like going to the post office and like shipping stuff out. That's where like the romanticism kind of wore off, because then it's like, oh yeah, you're still dealing with like the post office, and it's actually even harder over there, but it is beautiful there. See, it's not exactly the right size. I'm not always great at articulating like how I feel about certain things or what I'm getting out, but I know if I paint or if I make something, usually you could at least feel what I'm thinking. It's almost so much more robust than words. If I had the words, I would have already said them, and I would be a writer. I would write a book or something. But like, I don't have those words, so I can try to get out what I'm feeling through painting.
In a way, it almost feels like a therapy, what you're saying, just by pronouncing those feelings, or in your case, putting them on a canvas. It feels like you have this grasp now of what's going on with your feelings, how to react.
That's interesting that you say that, because in the past I didn't know how to deal with my feelings, and they would come out in different ways and probably really unhealthy ways. And I think people who come from places like I come from express themselves in really unhealthy ways, and I feel lucky that I found something that allows me to get out any kind of anger or sadness into something productive. And the process that I have while I paint, it helps me like think through how I feel about these things. So they're not coming out in healthy ways, you know, they're coming out in very focused, intentional ways, and I can still think through them, and I still have those visceral feelings, but I don't need to abuse substances or get into fights or argue with people I love. I think it's really important for a person to have like a goal or like purpose, even if it's not real. Like even if this didn't ever lead towards a career or money or people liking my work, you just need a purpose and a goal. Even if you have like a regular 9-to-5 job and like a regular life or whatever, if you can somehow work in a purpose or a goal that's outside of those things, I think it's so like crucial to have something like that. I just had like Marylyn Monroe in my head because I was just going through this idea that like everything kind of feels fake and makeup and perfection and like just that idea, and that's what she in some ways represents to me. It's almost like that, like a Barbie character or something. That's what I want to work with right now. I don't know what it's going to look like, or I don't know how exaggerated certain features are going to be or what it's going to feel like, but I just go in with the topic, and then who knows what can happen. And that's my favorite, is when like I don't know what's gonna happen. That was one that I started working on. It was like a suit guy. I just wasn't liking how the face was coming out. It didn't have that smile originally. I just was like hating how it was coming out. And then I was just like so frustrated with it that I just started adding this like more like skin tone and just doing whatever. And I ended up doing that giant smile and like those circles for the eyes. And then eventually I just stopped and I was like, wow, this feels like something. This is how my frustration felt. Maybe you're putting on a smile when the world feels like it's falling apart around you or something, and like that's what that's portraying.
Do you tend to smile when the life throws shit at you?
Probably, yeah. I mean, I use humor, and everything about like my stuff is like using humor or like smiling if I'm nervous. There are only a few people who have like a very iconic look, and it's kind of annoying that Trump is one of them because people take it the wrong way that I do a lot of them. I don't do a lot of them because I love him or I hate him. I do a lot of them because he's just one of those figures, and he also encapsulates so much. What other presidents have like that silhouette, or like what are I don't know a lot of people that have that in general. If I post them, it almost like brings everybody together in a way, which is so funny, because you have some people who love it because like they think you're shitting on him, some people who love it because they think you're honoring him, and you're like, this is awesome. Certain cans of paint, once they start drying out, you know, I'll like leave the top off, and I do that purposefully sometimes, and sometimes I do it by accident, but I do it so that I have like this kind of paint just available to me, because I never know when I'm going to use it, but it always comes in handy. So like, I remember just pulling this chunk out and I just slapped it on here, and I was like, wow, that's a perfect, just weird, crazy upper lip. So then I got another smaller paint can and I pulled this one out, and I just love stuff like this. It just lives in your room, screaming from the wall. I think that's so fun.
I like that V sign.
Yeah, it's like the Nixon, you know, peace signs, like he's running for president, I'm not a crook, whole thing.
Your pop culture characters, that's like very convenient for people to recognize it and see it. What do you think about that?
I mean, that's the purpose of doing it. If it's not a recognizable character, it's easier to just pass by, you know? But if you already recognize it and it's in a way that you maybe haven't seen it before, you're more likely to stop and be like, why does it look like that? Like, why does he see it that way? This one was finished last April. Diddy stuff was starting to come out. There's a whole Diddy behind there, and then there's just a hot dog over it. And I'm not sure why, but after I painted it, then it just felt that I hide his eyes with a giant hot dog. And then I was like, what if there was a mouth just drooling at the end of it, reaching for a donut? And then there are these phallic things around him, like a banana and a Coke bottle with a straw coming out of it. And it all kind of goes together and it kind of doesn't. But to me, it's like very playful and funny and dark, which I like that. I like that mix of satire and sarcasm and humor and the darkness about the whole situation. And then it says, did he, instead of did he, because it was more like, did he do it? Like, is any of this real? It was before, like, we knew a lot more facts about what happened. And I'm not like generally outwardly a dark person. It's not like I'm going around just like moping around all the time or something, but it is a feeling that I'm like really comfortable with. It feels like a warm blanket to me sometimes. And I'm fine with that. I mean, it's a part of life, feeling sad or feeling depressed. I think all of this is a part of life. I think it's actually worse for you if you push it away. You know, it's like what I was talking about before. If like I'm going in to paint something with a certain emotion and it leads me towards something else, like just go with it. It's okay. You know, like we walk around with so much marketing and like brands and all this stuff that's like, you're happy, be happier. Here's some drugs to make you happier. And it's like, let's just experience life, you know? And like, it's okay. Sometimes you're angry, sometimes you're happy, sometimes you're depressed. Like not everything has to force you to be in the greatest mood ever all the time. Sometimes I don't know exactly what I'm gonna paint, but I know the mood that I'm feeling. So I'll just like put on an album. That's how I get into like some kind of zone for like the feeling of the piece. And then once I find the album that feels like what I wanna put on, I only listen to that album the whole time I'm working on that painting. To me, it's actually really exciting while I'm doing it. You know, like while I'm doing it, my adrenaline is going up and I'm like, oh shit, what's gonna happen next? You know, like even I'm thinking that, like as I'm doing the mouth, I don't know what it's gonna look like because it's so sloppy. So I'm just like, how are these teeth gonna come out? Like I can't wait to see how these teeth come out. And then that pink thing came, like this like tongue that I'm calling a tongue. And I'm like, oh cool, like what can I do with that? You know, so to me, it's really exciting in the moment. But it doesn't feel like I'm doing it. It feels like it's happening with my body. Like my meat sticks are the ones like slopping paint on this thing, but I'm not doing it. I happen to be in this body. I try to do things in triangles. The pink, pink, and then pink. If there was a tongue here, so now you're like, there's a bright, crazy eye here. And then you'd be like, oh, there's pink here too. And then there's pink here in the tongue. Now you're looking around, you know? And now you're engaged. This one now has a special meaning to me because you were the first person who's ever captured me actually painting for real, like just really in a flow. Sometimes pieces are special because of how they happen. I think if you're just doing something that feels good for you and you take the chance to like be yourself and do the thing, that's the best you could do. But the most important thing is actually do it. You know, like I think a lot of people don't do the thing because they want it to be perfect, or they want it to be right, or they want to be accepted, or they don't want to be embarrassed. I think the biggest thing is just do it. And if it's not perfect and it's not right, then you do it again the next day and like do it a little bit different. And then do it again the next day and do it a little bit different. Just stay as consistent as possible.